There's an angry citizen, his voice is getting loud. He's been shaking up the people, and he's gonna shake the ground. He says, wake up now, people. Look what they're doing to our town. We gotta wake up now, people. Look what they're doing to our town. So he's reading the Constitution, and he's calling up his friends. He says, I'm ready for a revolution, and I won't stop till the end. He says, wake up now, people. We can't let this happen again. We gotta wake up now, people. We can't let this happen again. He's gonna rise, he's gonna rise, he's gonna rise up. He's gonna rise, he's gonna rise, he's gonna rise up. So there's a new king of the country, and he goes by Angry Sea, and he's telling all the people what the government won't let him see. He says, wake up now, people. You can be free like me. We gotta wake up now, people. You can be free like me. He's gonna rise, he's gonna rise, he's gonna rise up. He's gonna rise, he's gonna rise, he's gonna rise up. He's gonna rise, he's gonna rise, he's gonna rise up. He's gonna rise, he's gonna rise, he's gonna rise up. He's gonna rise, he's gonna rise, he's gonna rise up. He's gonna rise, he's gonna rise, he's gonna rise up. He's gonna rise, he's gonna rise, he's gonna rise up. He's gonna rise, he's gonna rise, he's gonna rise up. We won't stand for corruption. We won't stand for stealing kids. This is the Tiff and the Punisher podcast, now joined by the angry citizen. This is a powerful trio, set out to spread the Constitution.
won't stand for corruption, and we won't stand for stealing kids. This is the Tiff and the Punisher podcast, now joined by the angry citizen.
Oh, I haven't heard that song in so long. Feels
Good
like it's been
stuff.
a ton of time. A ton of time. Hasn't it not been? When
been
was
a
the
week.
last time? When was the last time you did that?
It's been a week, I think.
A weekday? A weekday? A week and a day?
Sure.
Is it what day? Weekday? How you been, man? You missed Sheriff Mack with us, brother.
Yeah, I saw that one listed there.
Yeah, that was
How'd that go?
it was well. It really went well.
Good.
Well, Tiff, did you see what happened to Tiff when she saw Sheriff Mack?
Yeah, she was
Yeah,
all
that was
googly.
pretty impressive, right? Like that was let me put that on there. Hold on a minute. We got to watch this again, only because it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Let me see. What's the quick way I could do that? Let's see. Tiff can go where at? Let's see where it is on my clips. I got it right here in my short area. This is Dana. This was. I wish you were a part of this. Just this moment that when this happened, because this was just damn. Well, you'll see in a second if you've seen it. If you said you've seen it, but I gotta take my shots at Tiff when I get my shots at Tiff. You know.
Amen.
They're not. They come very far and few between. So okay, here we go. There it is, right there. Boom. Look at that. Here we go. There we go. There we go. I'm gonna have to start it over here.
I'm about to pick my. So, guys,
You're fine.
Sheriff Mack is at the house. Oh my God, I love that man. I am about to pick my behind up off the floor.
Lay. We're talking on my
Can
phone.
you see No, we cannot see him. So yeah, so now we've got Rod, we've got Sheriff Mack, we got Tammy and Peter, we got our crazy crew, and yes, I'm wearing pajamas. We're supposed to see that. It's a slumber party. Who cares? These are my 5 PJs. This is what started it all. The morning that I left before I found my ranch burned down, I was wearing these pajamas.
There we go.
Guys,
That's what we saw. You know what? That show right there was a powerhouse of people. Total was that was a good time, man. They were powerhouses of people. That was a great show. But
Yeah, but now we got to get him on our show by himself.
yeah, well, we need to get them ones back too, because the more I read
Well,
about
yeah.
it, holy smokes, like all of them together, they're a freaking force to be reckoned with, for real. You know, like those people were solid. Billy and John and all of them, they were all. And then if you read stuff about them, they really are a force to be reckoned with. Like they just got pushed by the government too hard, and now they're fighting back, and they're pretty amazing stuff. I mean, tonight we have Derek's supposed to be here with us, fostering reality. So hopefully he's getting his kickers off right now, and we're waiting for him. But yeah. So what's been going on with you, Dana? Anything new?
Just same old, same old. I've been kind of tired lately and feeling sort of anxious and dejected. I don't know. A lot of people, I guess, have been feeling that way.
You're not feeling old, are you?
I don't feel old physically, but sometimes I feel old, like tired old. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, like you're just like you've had life has just hit you hard.
Lately, because I keep waiting for some real progress to be made for we the people in all the areas that we're looking for. We still have not seen one person arrested for going to Epstein Island. The whole Doge thing just went right down the toilet. They found all this fraud, waste, and corruption, which you don't have to look far to find it. It's right in front of us, and did nothing about it. Not one freaking unnecessary department got axed. A lot of people don't know the budget they just passed. Basically, the same budget. They just pass the same budget every time. When they pass a budget, they just get the one that was passed previously, and they, But if a Republican is pushing it, the Democrats all get their panties in a wad, and if the Democrats are pushing it, then the Republicans get their panties in a wad, and it's just a giant. It's world wrestling. It's professional wrestling. It's all a dance, and I'm tired, man. I want to see people arrested. I want to see people. I want to see Hillary Clinton arrested. I want to see Barack Obama arrested, charged with treason. You know, and I'm just.
Well, they say it's
I'm
coming,
trying to
man.
keep the faith, but that's what I keep hearing. Though, you see, I'll tell you a quick story about what back when the first uh, election happened, when Donald Trump ran for office the second time. And just so viewers know, I'm not a Donald Trump fan per se. I applaud what he does when I agree with him, and I decry him when I don't, which is what we all should do. And I want clean elections, and I'm not happy about people that have been winning the elections, and no one ever votes for the person I tell people to vote for. Everyone has to vote for the lesser of two evils. We go out, round and round the merry-go-round. So Donald Trump gets beaten supposedly by Joe Biden, which is absurd. 84 million votes for Joe Biden is utterly ridiculous. No one could possibly believe that 84 million people voted for Joe Biden. It's absolutely preposterous.
And if they did, then we're in deep, deep trouble, and we deserve to
They
be
didn't.
voted
I
out.
mean, but even though there
Right.
are people that love him, they don't know anything about him. If you ask them, what do you love about? They can't tell you. They can't tell you anything about him. Nothing. Okay. But, and there was a great post on Facebook which claimed that the whole thing was an elaborate setup, that Donald Trump had seated federal agents at the polling places, and that the water there was a secret watermark on the ballots, and there was going to be massive arrests as soon as they brought all this up, massive arrests, and it all looked really good. Okay, clearly none of it was true. None of it was true. So I'm tired, man. I'm tired of waiting for something to
Do
happen.
you feel that it's the American people who are falling short right now, or do you feel that it is
Yes.
that we're not following Donald Trump's
Donald Trump is neither here nor there. This is what we can't seem to understand in this country, is that we have all the power, we have all the authority. We're from the county level up. Our power is absolute, our authority is absolute. The federal government works for us. And we don't have to support or hate or love Donald Trump. It's a false dichotomy. All we have to do is, when he says, I'm going to do this, we need to say, yes, Mr. President, I agree with you. Or, no, Mr. President, not cool. Don't agree with you. That simple. We got to call these people, all of them that work for us, pick up the phone, call them, tell them how we feel, write them letters, tell them how we feel. We don't do it. That's why we are in so much trouble. We've let this happen. It's happened on our watch, and it's not going to be magically fixed from the top down. That's what people want. They want someone who, Donald Trump gets elected, goes in, powerhouse, fist swinging, cleans out all the corruption, throws people in jail. Yay, we win. That's a foolish way to hope for success. It starts at the bottom. It starts with we the people.
Right. We need to get back into the town governments. We need to start going into the town hall. We need to start working our way in that way. And then we build up. Right. We build ourselves back up. And it might take years. It's going to take years because it's like starting from ground zero. It really is. I mean, maybe we'll get a couple of good people. Maybe you can hop up and get into the Washington Senate or the, like that style, but it's going to take a long time unless, like in the CPS instances, just blow the whole damn ship up. Scuttle the ship.
I mean, for sure, there needs to be elimination, massive elimination. And when Doge was talking about doing this, people were so mad. And I said, why are you mad? This is the people that are ripping us off. Look at all the departments, all the unnecessary departments that we, the people, pay for, the exorbitant salaries. Look at, housing and urban development and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. What the hell do we need a Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms? Those are all legal. None of those things are illegal.
Right. Right. And one of them anyway comes from your Constitution. So what the hell is that? Right.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
So where do we have that?
So we're paying, how many people, I could ask Grok how many people work for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. How much money is it costing us? Right. And America, ask yourselves this: do you have money in your budget to pay for that? If it required you to, let's say that the government didn't collect taxes, you just send it in, right? So you get your paycheck, you take that money. I want you to take that money and I want you to fish out a 20 or a 50 or 100 and send it off to Washington so they can have the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Would you do that?
Fuck no.
No. I see
put the link in there.
I see it. No, absolutely. You know what? I watched this dude talk about this the other day, and I forget what the guy's name is on YouTube, but he goes around and he's kind of like an auditor or whatever, and he goes like this. He goes into the town hall, or the city hall. I think it was in California somewhere. And he goes in the city hall and he goes, "Hey, I'm just here doing an interview because I heard that what did he say? What do they call mob people? They call it oh my god, damn it, Darren, freaking brain thing. What do they call when mob people the type of bad things that they're into? What do they call that?
Protection?
No, when they extort people for money, all that stuff. What the hell do they call it? Oh my god, I can't believe I can't.
They call it protection. Is that what you're talking about?
Right, but what do they call that as a crime?
Extortion.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's extortion.
No, but what do they call them? Like the nickname for that crime overlord of people. Shit, I'll remember it. But who cares now anyway? We got the man right here, Fostering Reality. D, how we doing, brother?
Good evening. I'm good. How's everybody?
We're alive. We're hanging in there, trying to get the angry citizen up and up on this stuff. Yeah. I was thinking maybe we should I'm going to play one of your videos here real quick. Do you mind?
Yeah.
Then we could go from that. Right on. All right. So let's start with there. I see, dude, you still like starstruck me, man. I get all nervous. You get that like when you dated your first girl or something feeling. It's kind of weird. I like it, but it's just kind of strange, All right. This is what Fostering Reality does right here. If you guys haven't seen this, you need to see this stuff because it's freaking important information. So check this out, and then we'll talk to him about it.
Welcome back to the breakdown of CPS. This is part 5, the gray layer. Because of time constraints, this video is a mesh up of the gray layer as promised, and my only concerns with all the really new great bills that are flying around. I was born into foster care over 40 years ago, and I aged out straight into the streets just before I turned 17. That was about 26 years ago, and I say that to say this. I'm not a doctor or a lawyer, and nothing I say is meant to be advice. What this is, let's just say it's my own opinion based on my own lived experiences and the research that I do on highly reputable, mostly government websites and real life books whenever possible. Quick recap. We walked straight into the lobby of CPS demanding some answers. What we found was nobody actually knew what was really going on. The caseworkers and their supervisors, all they knew how to do was turn on their tablets and iPads, click through some drop-down menus and risk dashboards. But since the answers that we need weren't coded into their software, they didn't even know what we were talking about. Down here on the ground floor, the caseworkers, the ones showing up at your door, they're paid about $40,000 to $55,000 a year in most states. Investigators, a little more. The supervisors, maybe $65,000 to $75,000 if they've been around. And that's who you see. That's who we thought the system was. We went a little deeper and we walked into the back rooms where the people responsible for the coding decision tree logic sit. That's the architects of the risk dashboards that the workers click on. Their paychecks, 90 to 120,000 for mid-level analysts, 150 to 200 for senior architects. Still, we didn't find what we were looking for, so we cracked open their operating systems and smashed into their hard drives. This is where we found billing tied to government triggers. We went a little deeper into the boardrooms where the programs are approved. Here, the executive, directors, and consultants are pulling anywhere from $250,000 to $400,000 with $1 million bonus sign-on packages. The CEO of the foundation steering these waivers, he makes over $1.2 million a year. Their chief investment officer clears nearly $1.9 million. Even the nonprofit research heads in the data shops are making $400,000 plus. Then we went to the state level. We found statewide reimbursements and discovered that they're not voting on family matters at all. They're voting on reimbursement triggers and how fast removal becomes a claim, how a placement triggers federal dollars, and how the termination of rights locks in subsidy. Lawmakers are making $70,000 to $90,000 a year while authorizing the contracts that will make them consultants at $300,000 to $500,000 a year as soon as they leave office. Judges at $180,000 on the bench retire into vendor boards making $300,000 to $400,000 a year. We still didn't find what we were looking for, but we found what they've been hiding. So we followed the money. Now we're standing in the gray layer. I don't even know exactly where we are. We're somewhere in cyberspace where money looks like ones and zeros, people look like ones and zeros, and family looks like dollar signs as long as they can be separated and billed individually. From here, we have the back-end view of almost everything involved, from the state and federal politics to the coder logic and the whys. Oh look, reform! Let's get some shit straight about everyone's favorite word, reform. And this time, let's peel it all the way back. They tell you, this time is different. They hold a press conference and they put their signatures on the bill. They tell the public, families will be safer now, but the mechanism is always built into the design. The sunset clause, the pilot waiver, the temporary demonstration. They write the law to expire. They draft it vague enough for vendors to bend it. And now in 2025, it's even worse. The vendors are running AI compliance engines that simulate the new law before it even takes effect. The system already knows how to look compliant while changing nothing. This isn't a courtroom problem. This isn't a caseworker problem. This is system architecture. And when the statute says reasonable efforts, AI models convert that phrase into compliance checklists, reroute removals, and generate a dashboard that says improvement while separation rates stay the same. Look it up. That's predictive coding. That's revenue protection. That's how you neutralize reform before a parent even knows that the law is supposed to have changed. And none of it stops the separation. And if you think it's about the services, it's not. It's about throughput. A hotline call becomes a risk object. The object feeds the schema. The schema feeds analytics. Analytics feeds contract deliverables. The contract spits out units of service, units of billing, and the revenue loops back into performance dashboards. The dashboard is pitched to legislators as proof of child safety. And what's missing? The family. Because the family is the raw material, not the outcome. This isn't new. I'm 40-something, and they made money off of my life as a foster kid in the 80s and 90s. They've been doing this since foster care was privatized. First proof of money making was when the states wrote contracts that paid providers per child per day. And that wasn't an accident. That was the prototype. From there, it grew into waivers, pilots, dashboards, and today's predictive models. At least 40 years of turning families into ledger lines. And now let's talk about the insiders, not the names that everyone's parroting, but the longest seated power brokers. At the foundation side, executives pulling more than any public official ever did. The chief investment officer clears nearly $1.9 million managing endowments off the same foster care industry that they steer. Their EVP of system improvement sits steady at $580,000 plus. And these aren't government watchdogs. These are industry bosses. And on the research side, the long-seated director earns over $430,000 annually, while senior fellows and program heads pull in $300,000 plus. Even the mid-tier staff average six figures. That's not neutral evaluation. That's a stable, profitable career path built on improving a system that has never actually been dismantled. And remember, the revolving door is constant. Rafael Lopez left the Children's Bureau at $180,000 a year and reemerged as Accenture making $500,000 a year. Molly, she shifted from a city child welfare seat at $120,000 to Accenture's industry lead at triple that. Judges retire on $180K, then reappear on vendor boards pulling $300,000 to $400,000. And the CEO of one of the biggest vendors pulls 8 figures a year while writing contracts for the same agency as judges are ruling for. That's not reform, that's reward ladder. So what do you get when you win a bill? You get a sunset clause waiting to dissolve it. You get a waiver, rerouting it. You get compliance dashboards making it look fixed while removals roll on. And you get the same judges, directors, and lawmakers who voted for it moving into vendor roles as soon as their term is up. The bill is bait, and the industry is the hook. Psychologically, this is the coolest part. The dingle reform to induce false hope conditioning. They want families and advocates to cycle their energy into the next promise, the next reset, the next Child Safety Act. That is system-wide intermittent reinforcement. Keep the target engaged with just enough illusion of change to suppress rebellion. Learned helplessness at scale. They've already written scripts to navigate your bill. Natural language processing models parse statutes in real time. Predictive dashboards auto-generate reasonable effort reports, and AI compliance packages are sold directly to agencies. Stay ahead of reform. Keep your funding secure. The tech is literally sold as a shield against accountability. And in CPS language, it's all the same. Permanency, best interest, safety threshold, words turned into fields, fields turned into claims, claims turned into revenue, and none of these words mean family. They mean metric. So I'll say this without filter. These bills don't stop separation. They reroute it. They rename it. They hide it under pilot projects, sunsets, dashboards, and compliance AI. The removals never stop because the removals are the industry. And don't come at me with more accountability as a solution. I'm all for it, but don't pretend it's a victory. Oversight committees, audits, inspector generals, all circus rings inside their buildings. And those buildings don't exist to serve me. They exist to process me. And I'm not a politician. I'm not an academic. I'm a regular guy who has to work 50 plus hours a week and then spend the rest of my time fighting just to survive. I don't lick boots and I don't wait for crumbs. My rights didn't come from a clause. My rights started where God put me, with my family. And I don't ask for permission. I just demand that they stop profiting off our children. This was the gray layer, and it's not the top. The next layer, it owns the entire stack. The data firms, the insurance underwriters, the adoption platforms, the AI social risk scores that decide your future before you even knew you were flagged. That's where we're heading next. So am I against fighting in their courts? No. But I also know that the game is rigged with way too many variables for me to gamble. And I will support your bills 100%, as I have the hundreds of others across the US over my lifetime. And I've just been patiently waiting, I guess, for the right one. I don't hear.
That's some powerful stuff, man. That's some real powerful stuff. How long did it take you to realize that that's what this was all about?
Before I actually aged out, I knew that they were making money on me. In my life, like at first, one of my videos I talk about where I think it might have been in the start of this one where I say like at first I was routed to foster families that were in the good graces of the SCF or DHS or CPS. That was because I was a really good kid. I grew up in foster care, so it was my normal. I sat still, I was quiet, I sat in counseling, I took medication, whatever it was. And then as ADHD was being presented like in public schools, um, I ended up getting selected as being, attention deficit and hyperactive, which I was not. That's when I really first realized. And then I started moving homes. I went into group homes, and then it was boys' ranches, and then drug rehabs when I hadn't even. I mean, I learned about drugs in drug rehab. Like I learned how to ingest them, where to go to get them, everything prior to ever being presented with it. So looking back at it, I realized one time I had a foster mom tell me that she'd chosen not to take the check. And I asked her what that meant. And she said, "Oh, well, you bring an income, but it's not a lot. It's just barely enough to cover us taking care of you." And I took that and I asked my caseworker, who had been my caseworker for about 10 years. I mean, I had several, but she'd been a long time caseworker. And she said, "Yeah, that's something that we can talk about." And then she gave me this really shitty explanation on what was happening. And so I started asking foster parents that I knew, and that's when I realized, a lot of them was never really expecting to see or hear from me again. So it put them in a really strange situation with me showing up asking questions. Like, I thought they would be happy to see me. It was like, hey, you guys lost me, and I'm back. And most of them were just like, whoa, how'd you find us? But yeah, so I started digging into it. Then when I got interested about 10 years ago in computers and digging around in public information, I just started asking questions and looking for answers, compiling them, and talking to more people.
What did that make you feel like, man? When you realized that you were a money sign and not a kid, like that had to have just destroyed your growing up and everything. That must have just killed you. But like,
Um, it actually, it never bothered me until last year. Honestly, it never set in. I knew there was something, and I mean, one of the things about being a foster kid was I used the tools that they gave me. Like when they said I'm ADHD, I started, smart mouthing, started running away, everything that I could,
mhm,
and when looking back as I got older, I knew that wasn't okay and that wasn't right. And so I used it to play on staff members' emotions, like, oh, I never had a family. And so it was always just a tool. And then I ended up being homeless for years and really, really, really struggling with alcohol for years.
mhm,
And it was just 10 years ago that my wife, who I'm with now, we stopped drinking together,
mhm.
and that's when I started dealing with it. And it didn't hit me until last year that, like where actually I can feel it in my heart, but
Mm,
it doesn't feel good. That's why
right.
I am so passionate about getting this information out, because it's happening right now.
Hmm. Do you see an end to this?
There will be an end to this.
That's cool. What do you got, Tiff? Oh, there she steps out. Yes.
No, because the baby's right here.
Oh, I
First
see.
of all, yeah. First of all, I'm really sorry that you had to go through that. Okay. But second of all, your life has a meaning, right? You just
Yeah.
didn't know what it was until last year.
Right.
And I understand the pain that you're going through. But we just talked about this yesterday. This is your healing point. You'll never heal completely, but this is your healing point, and this is what your calling is. And I
Yeah.
just love you to death. I wish I could
Well, thank
just
you.
hug you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to embarrass you.
There's the next clip for the B-roll, guys, right there.
Oh gosh.
Dana, you got any? What do you got for Derek? Before we go off with Becca and go on and just open up this conversation, but you got anything that you want to drum up right now? Anything strike your fancy?
I just wanted to say that I admire your work. Uh, everyone thinks that someone else is going to do something, right? Every time we see something going wrong, someone says someone should do something about that. Someone ought to do
Yeah.
something. Someone ought to do something. So all of us here, long ago, we said, "Well, I'm someone, so
Yeah.
I'm going to do something," and we are. And you know what I'm talking about when I say
Yep.
most people aren't. They don't
Yeah. Oh,
care
yeah.
until the floodwaters are at their door. Then they're upset. Then they want some action. They want
Yeah.
answers. They want to know what to do.
Yeah.
So, your work has the potential to have a profound impact and maybe even best case scenario, take down this fucking corrupt system once and for all. And what I want to see more than any other thing, I've said this every time I come on with Darren and Tiff, I say, I want heads to roll. I
Oh, yeah.
want head to roll. I want the sons of bitches that did this charged with kidnapping and thrown in jail. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I also want to say that for years on top of, I've been fighting this CPS people for 36 years, okay? So I understand. I don't understand the ins and outs because I didn't go as deep as you did. But when people say to me, well, why don't you want kids in foster care? No kid should be in foster care because all they are is a dollar sign. And people never, ever believe me. And I'm glad that you're out because people don't believe us, right? They
Right.
don't believe anything that we say because we weren't in it. But we know the system. So you can't tell us we don't know, but you're living
Right.
proof.
Yeah.
You just verified everything that we've always said.
Mm. That's great. Becca, what do you got, Becca? Anything?
Uh, yeah, I mean, him and I talked a little bit on TikTok today, but the work that you do is admirable for sure.
Thank you.
You sparked something inside of me myself to start digging into what you were saying and everything you
Mhm.
said. And I mean, everything you said, 100% legitimacy. It's true.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It checks out. Yep.
the money, and my neighbor is 84 years old, and she was a foster mom for like 30 years. And I told her the other day, I was like, I think I might want to ask you a few questions. I'm like, because she was telling me, she's like, yeah, she's like, I used to get 500 for this kid every 2 weeks and a
Mhm.
1,000 for this kid every 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I get the industry, but you're stealing people's kids. You're taking kids
Yeah.
away from
It's
loving families and, their homes. I mean, over from by people who don't even have children themselves half the time.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's not what it's not realistic.
Right.
How can somebody judge who isn't even in that position themselves?
Yeah. Steve, what do you? Here's the question: what is it going to take to break the machine? I mean, you know the ins and outs. You know the stuff that we don't know, for sure, because you've lived through the system yourself. And I mean,
Um,
to break down that stuff, what's it going to take to top
I it's gonna take a lot of people, people like you guys who know the ins and outs of the court system. That's the way to get in. I'm thinking. Um, I think right now I'm working on challenging the code itself in court. That we need to see the peer reviews, we need to see the false positives, we need to see the other end of it, because according to the literature that is provided by these companies, um, they aren't designed to do what CPS is supposed to do, which is stop kids from being in imminent danger or whatever.
Right.
right?
That does not come up on any of the software. That's not on the dashboards of anything. So if kids are being removed based on this code, um, the code is, the code is wrong. The code is lying, and they're lying to the people who are backing it. It's, and that's kind of what I'm thinking now. I actually have quite a bit of information, Darren, I want to send you to look at, and it is definitely, I've got a lot of, from what I've found, I've got a pretty good case in challenging the code in court as a parent. So
So you're saying that there's a legitimate, what you're saying, to break this down for everybody out there that's listening, there's an actual legitimate program. You're not like trying to hide behind these words, making like it's the case. You're saying that there's a legitimate program
yes,
out there that when they come into your house, this caseworker's just reading off the script that they need to go back to punch their numbers into what this code thing is saying, and then the outcome
yes,
is being spit out by this machine. So it's
yes,
not
that's
even
what I'm saying.
So
And it actually starts before that. There are so all of our public services feed into national statistics, which is drawn from by these dashboards, these operating systems. So they know, like, they know the poverty rate, which is one of the things that they base their algorithm on, of each area, not just a sweeping across the country, but each neighborhood. That's how, and that's through public service, through going in and getting food stamps, welfare, hospital visits, public school, all the public stuff feeds into this, and they draw their information from that, and then they can target low income. Or, I mean, there are times when there could be a call that triggers an investigation, and they go looking into it. If their dashboard, based on all of the factors that they enter in before they show up, because they're already building a court case against you.
right.
So if their factors say, excuse me, I just lost my train of thought again.
No, hey, I don't understand very much so.
Where was I?
Yeah.
I get it,
Who of
man.
us has not done that, right?
Yeah, so if their dashboard is telling them that you're not likely, like, say you're a wealthy individual or a politician, or your family has never been in the public services for anything, they're not going to pursue you like they would somebody who's going to need a court appointed attorney. They're not going to pursue you with somebody who doesn't have as many city-wide services, that are helping them out. And that's because all those caseworkers buy this narrative, regardless of if they're from the hospital, from the public school, like the counselors, or wherever they're from. They all buy this same narrative. They're running off the same programs, the same public service programs. And so they'll close their case before pursuing it, because it's a liability to CPS. They don't want the rich people's attorney to turn around and sue them and ask for the code, is what I'm thinking.
Right.
Actually defending them against this code. And the other thing, real quick, what I was mentioning about this
You have
code
as
and
much
why I
time
think
as you
it's a
want, man.
thing, is because I don't know the exact rules of cross-examination, or, having to be able to talk to your witness, or not your witness, but the person who's trying to prosecute you, the allegation, the victim, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
But that at this code, not the caseworkers, not the counselors, not anybody is saying that you are this threat and can't prove it. That's where, I'm thinking this is how we could break the machine, honestly. That
Mhm.
I've also discovered that there are standards for terms like, counseling terms for, you're so crazy, we have to take your kid.
Mhm.
That doesn't show up with any of the counselors that CPS would send you to for an evaluation. They're doing what's called an impression evaluation. So they're not even giving you like the standardized legal test. They're giving you basically the test that works with the algorithm.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's another thing that, needs to be challenged.
Right. Well, because you've said it yourself, is the number one thing that they draw off of on this stuff is poverty-based areas, which the
Mhm.
number one supposed rule is that poverty is not an issue with being a parent. But you've
Mhm.
even said it, like that's what they're driving this off of. So clearly, we understand that they're attacking people with less money because they can't defend themselves, right? Like, so we know this. And
Yeah.
then the people that are vulnerable, the people that are, like, and all of these rules, they come out in their face and they say, whoa, 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 we're not doing this. We can't, we know that this, because we have the oversight committees. I mean, we have oversight committees here in the state of Maine that came out with the final report that says substance abuse amongst parents is not neglect, all of these things,
Right.
spanking with your kids are not neglect, all this stuff. But yet, if you look at the cases in the state of Maine and all these other places, you're going to find substance abuse, you're going to
Yep.
find domestic violence, you're going to find, these things. And it's a rigged system. You're absolutely right. Because once they can open up Pandora's box, man, that's what they've got. They've got you. Substance abuse is that's the killer, I think. Like that was created back in the Dare days. And that's why they created Dares to get inside the home so they could get to the kids, the whole thing. Like that's what went on with this. But the second they say substance abuse, the race, they got you. They've got you because number one, you're gonna relapse. If you're serious about your recovery, anybody that's into recovery knows that the number one rule of recovery is you're gonna relapse. So get over it, deal with it, and move on. Don't hold it personal. Like it's gonna take place. It's not, but so when you're in CPS situations and you're going through recovery and you relapse, that's a penalty against you. But that's not the way recovery is supposed to work. And also all this stuff says with the recovery stuff is in their old Title IV fundings and the American Safe Families Act says that the kids go with you when you go to counseling. The kids are put into place with you. None of this stuff happens, but they still get this fund. So like they make it look all pretty and beautiful. And in all reality, like you say, the system's already won. So the bottom line here is you don't stand a chance from the gates. As soon as they get their hands on your kids, you're screwed, right? Is that pretty much what you're saying?
Yep. Yes. Like, so I was just looking at, all of my stats. Some of them need to be updated, but what I was considering for one of my next videos is actually showing what the perfect case to a CPS, to a caseworker would look like. They would tell you it would be a family that needed some assistance and got what they needed. They went through the parenting contract and they got their kids back and live happily ever after. But in reality, the perfect case for them would be a 5-person home, a mother, father, and 3 children. Label each one of the children with something different, attention deficit or, hero composite complexion or whatever it's called, all kinds of things. And then trauma with the parents from childhood. Maybe one of them drinks or had a DUI 3 or 4 years ago. So you want them to get an alcohol evaluation. And then the other thing with these tests is once you go do these evaluations, there is nothing therapeutic for you in it. They have codes that they are filling. Like they're looking for you to say something so that they can meet that code. They are not trying to help you sort anything out.
No.
That's not at all what's happening there. And a lot of people open up when they go to those counselors. They open up thinking, okay, well, I'm here. I'm going to go ahead and say this. But that counselor doesn't hear you. What he hears is, okay, we can put, that they're crazy in this way and that way. And, they're actually looking for their terms that pays the bills.
Right, the billable terms that they can say.
Yeah.
That's just disgusting.
So they don't want to send me to counseling because the last counselor I had, let me tell you what I said to her. Okay. And I was being honest. Okay. Now this is after my little rendezvous with the federal penitentiary, right? She's like, so
Rendezvous.
so what do you want to do now? Now I was already mad. Okay. So I said, damn, I really want to be a hitman for the mafia because I got people on my shit list. She refused to see me anymore. I mean, I will do shit like that because you're not going to get the response you want from me, right? Because everybody who knows me knows I'm going to tell you to fuck off. I know your little game plan. It's not going to happen. Well, they don't even get that far with me anymore. When they've hit my property, they already know what they're in for. If they don't, they're going to find out. And when I go to court, the judges already know I'm not putting up their bullshit either. And it's over.
You and I are two in the same.
But you're not broken like that, Tiff, though. That's the thing. Like, what is it going to take? What do the kids that are coming through the foster system need? Like, so you got a bunch of adults up here that have only experienced this side of the system. What can groups like us do to help and assist the kids that are going through the system, short of getting them returned home if they had homes that they didn't want to be taken from? But like, short of that, like, what is something like support wise that we can do to help the kids get through this? Like, what do they need? What do kids in the system need?
Support.
I would say right now they need
Hitler.
real evaluations, and not evaluations that are set up to get them on medications.
Yay.
I think that medicating the foster kids is, you know, way overdone, and it also sets them up for problems in the future. Um, I think that as adults, we can look at making sure that, or trying to fight them being prescribed medications. I'm not sure how, or, you know, that is the biggest thing to me, is that they get put on medication and they start becoming who they're told to be. You know, rather it's stop loving
don't-
your parents and have this new life, or you're going to be a criminal and end up in prison, which is where I was headed. You know, I luckily I had a foster mom who she saw what Ritalin was doing to me, and she was having me spit it out, you know. And that's something that we can't say today because it's so illegal, but I know that a lot of the reason why I can still think clear today is because I spit that out for years,
Good
you
for
know.
you. It's nice that you had a woman in your life that showed you that that was not the way to go and that supported you.
Yeah, and it was somebody in the system, you know. It was a foster mom, and actually she also worked for the SCF office later on. And I mean, there's people out there that see it. That's why I think everybody needs to hear about this, you know. Everybody. There's one of the things that I've understood. I went through I can't say every, I went through most religions going through foster homes. And one of the things that I think, excuse me,
Mm-hmm. Down.
sorry about that.
No, no worries.
Dog's knocking everything over. Where was I?
You were talking about what we're gonna do to help the kids come back through the system.
Oh,
medicine stuff.
yeah. Going through like the multiple foster homes I went through,
Mm-hmm.
um, the the system itself trains people how to be, but they don't actually. Um, I don't know if I can explain this. I've never tried explaining it. So it's unnatural. I can start there. Foster
Mhm.
care is unnatural. It's unnatural for the parents. It's unnatural for the children. So it creates something that isn't right to begin with. You know, so it already makes this like displacement in the situation. There's already a lot going on. And then on top of that, it's just unnatural, especially if they have children. You see their relationship with kids, and you feel like because yours isn't that there's something wrong. You don't know what it is, or maybe you do.
Mm-hmm.
But that, you know, that's part of what the kid goes through, but the parents are also going through that. And seeing all of these different families, whether they were religious in one way or not, one of the things that they had in common was they thought they were doing the right thing. um there were a lot of group homes that knew better, but as far as the foster homes I were in, they weren't all good, and not everything was great at all. But
Mm-hmm.
in general, the people thought they were doing the right thing. They thought they were helping. You know, they thought by reporting you crying too much was going to help you because you'll get the counseling you need, or whatever. I can look back at every one of them, and even though I can see where they did something that they knew wasn't, they wouldn't have done to their own kids,
Mm-hmm.
I can realize that they were taught that, you know, that like at the very beginning of, rather I'm right or they're right, they were taught that they were right and they're doing the right thing. So my job now is to just let people know, it's to inform them that yeah, maybe you are doing the right thing based on everything, you know. I can't argue that.
Mm-hmm.
But look at it this way too. Like here's a perspective that maybe you didn't realize. We're looking at the exact same thing, and now do you see it? That's
Mhm.
kind of what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're
Do
doing
you,
a good job, to be fair.
yeah,
mean,
Thank
you are
you.
doing a good job. You're
I'm not
actually,
flattering you. I believe that absolutely.
yeah, I think you're doing an awesome job. So, do you stay in touch with any of your well, the one foster lady that took you off that crazy medicine?
No, she was one of the ones that when I went back to find her, it was weird. They were like, "What? Why are you here?" But yeah, no. There's only one family that I speak to still, and it's every 4 or 5 years.
That's terrible, man.
That is terrible. Oh my God, I feel so
Mm.
bad.
Mm.
Well,
Damn.
it's I mean, to me, they were never anything more than a staff member, if that makes sense. I don't mean to be cold or I mean, I get it now. They were in it for a whole different thing, and it may have just been because they thought they were doing the right thing for their community. But it's
How
Some
many
people,
of those? How many of those parents can you honestly say that now that you can look back at it as like you're saying? How many of those parents are in it for the checks, and how many of it, or do you think it is true to like trying to be a solid for a
they're
kid
in it
that
for
needs
the
that?
right reason.
um I would say most of them aren't anymore, but the one I know of that is definitely in it for the money. And actually it was the same one that helped me, cheat the pill. They ended up um I don't want to say get rid of, but they got rid of me because they had a better opportunity. The foster dad, he had become a corrections officer for a youth authority, and that qualified them to take in transition kids violent from the youth authority um, into their home. And so I, as a state kid, couldn't be in their house with a youth authority kid. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had to go so that they can make more money. And they're still pumping them out like that today.
Jesus
Wow.
Christ. Do you did you live your life just prepared to move? Like, were you always just
Oh
waiting for
yeah.
your
Yep.
next job or whatever? Like you said,
Yep.
you looked at them as staff members, so like you must have always been like, well, what's my next assignment or what's my next job? Or could you
Yeah.
tell? Did you sense it when they were getting ready to shift you around, or did it come abruptly to you, or how
Well,
was that?
as I got older, I brought it about, I
Mhm.
would, once they labeled me ADHD, it was when I decided I was done with this place or something went. I mean, I wasn't a great kid at that time. I used everything they gave me, and if I didn't like them or something that they did, then I would run away or I would act out or I would steal or talk back. I was real smart ass and cold. That was
Shocking.
the other thing is they would try to be like, oh well, we're trying to give you a good blah blah blah, and I would just throw it in their face, and it's um
Because they don't prepare them, right? They don't prepare these foster families for what they're really getting into. Like they have no
no,
idea,
no.
right?
They just throw them into it.
There's no like emotional, and it's just like them when they return your kids. Like it's like they put you in all these services that are supposed to help reunify the family and all this shit. But you get if you're fortunate enough to get reunified with your kid, they drop a broken kid off at your doorstep and they say see you later. The services stop, everything stops. The funding stops, everything stops when if you get reunified, and now you've got to spend the rest of your life as a parent. Like
Picking
getting
up
to know your
pieces.
kid, right? Picking up the pieces,
Yeah.
all of that stuff, and they're not in this, and that's very clear and evident. And I think that's one of the arguments, and that people need to understand. Like these people aren't good people. They're not doing this for the right reason, and they're not even fucking trained to do this stuff. So how could they even think that what they're doing is a good for the community and like, oh, I'm doing such a great thing. Like I just don't understand how people see it that way, because that's not the other way I live my life, but it is the reality of it. And it's there's 500,000 families every year that are doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Like, so
I
it's ridiculous.
I look at that and I I see like that right now. Sorry, right now I don't see how anybody could not see what's going on. I mean, I look at 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 the services, I look at everything, and I cannot imagine going into this today saying whether you're a caseworker or a foster parent, you go in and say, I'm doing it to help the kids. And then within, the first week, you realize that that's not what this is about. I mean, I remember um, a couple times foster parents would tell my caseworker, well, I think this might be best for them, da 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 da. And that was one of the ways I knew I was moving. If there was any type of emotional affection or anything like that, I knew, within that before the end of the week, I would be moving. And that was the case. Today, I don't see how anybody can't know what's happening. Even when I first started this a year ago, I didn't want to throw all the caseworkers under the bus because 40 years ago I had a good one, only to find out that if she was doing her job,
Mhm.
it wasn't good. She was just there for a long time. She was the most stable person in my life. And now, now today, with especially after 2012 when they really ramped this algorithm, um, there's just no way that you can be there for a week and think that you're doing the right thing for a child. I just don't see it. It is not that. That's not what this is set up for.
Mm.
Definitely
Well,
not.
I know we're getting on our time here, and I don't want to keep you too long, and I don't want to overwhelm you with all this, but this is my last question for you is, where do we, and
How
it's a big
time?
one. Where do we go next, man? Like, what's our next move? Like, teach us, wise one, for real. Like, and I'm not being sarcastic with that. I'm like, what do we do? Because look, all we can do, like, we try to focus on educating people, right? Like, if we can educate them, then we can get them
Yep.
involved. Educate, motivate, activate. Like that type of scenario. But if they get their hands on your kids, it's a game that, it's like you said, it's Russian roulette, and it's which way it's where it lands that day. Like, if you're fortunate enough to be part of the 12% that get reunified, then that is what it is, Like, if maybe you catch a good judge on a right day or something, but overall, like you're saying, this cards are against you. So
Yeah.
what is the next move? What's the next move for the parents, and what is the next move for the kids that are in the system? And I'll leave that one with you on that. But yeah, like what's next? Like, where do we need to go?
Um, I think a good place for us is to dig into this code and get it discredited completely, get it
Mhm.
exposed, and I'll send you over what I've got, this
Right on.
paperwork and the challenges in court that I've come up with so far for
Oh,
it.
excellent, excellent.
Um, yeah, you guys, you can pass it around and crack into that, and then
Oh, yeah.
for the foster kids still in the system, I mean, I say this and it's cold, but you got to be your own hero. Nobody's coming to save you yet.
Right.
That's you got to
Well
deal
said.
with that, and the reason why is because there may not be anybody there in the next hour, and something could be going wrong. You just have to be you have to be ready for that. And if I could have been told one thing in the entire time I was in foster care, I wish it would have been that. I wish it would have been, you've got to save yourself. And
Save yourself.
because there's nobody in that system that is coming to help you. It's
Damn.
for parents, I would, what I advise is if you're locked in it, you've already signed any paperwork or anything like that, then you put your head down and you feed the algorithm exactly what it needs. which is what I'm trying to put out on my videos right now. There are
Exactly what I've
there
been
are
saying.
risk factors, there are risk flags, there are shortcuts that go into your file that they make that TPR clock go down, and it's all in the algorithm. Even when the caseworker is talking to you about, well, I do this and I do that, blah 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 blah. That's a script from the olden days. They're not doing that. They might have an opinion when they're presenting to each other in their meetings, but it's just feeding each other the same narrative. It's already said and done, you know.
Mhm.
It's on the clock. It's
Unfortunately, you
done.
just have to be compliant. I myself was one of those parents. I got my kids taken away, and then I ended up getting them back. But my attorney, only a public defender I've ever met in my life, look, he was against CPS. He's like, I think it's bureaucratic. I think they're just out for the money. He's like, he taught me, put your head down, like you said, put your head down, nod, smile, be copacetic. Just he's like, do what they ask, do what the court order says, no more, no less, and you will get your kids back. He says, I promise you.
Mm.
I said,
Yeah,
okay.
and there's some other things, that you do while doing that. Like I'm gonna come up with everything and put it out in a video in the next week or so. But um while you're going through with this, you're keeping your own file. You're keeping a file on your caseworker. You look at what they're supposed to be doing. You can find all this on the internet, but I'll get it all together too. You find out what could get them in trouble, what people have taken them to court for in these cases and won. You look for that, and then as you're going through doing your services, you're dropping evidence into the file so that when they screw up, and hopefully they say that you have some mental disorder, because now you're covered under ADA, and if they're not complying perfectly with that, there's more ammunition for you, and you've got all the evidence. And then when your kids are safe, when you've got what you need, rather it's a better defense or you've got them returned to you, then you drag them right back into court and you hold them accountable with all of your evidence, and their wrongdoings. And I mean, they can't hide behind immunity with a lot of the ADA stuff. And what I'm finding is that if they're just following the code, and we can show that the code is wrong, they are wrong by default. They're wrong and should not just, I mean, then it's a personal issue.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't look into it themselves or whatever the case is. But
Mhm.
yeah, there are things I would say, the first thing is, if you end up losing your parental rights, it's harder to get them back. That's going to be more difficult. And the more time that goes on, the more separation they wedge between you and your children.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And then they use it against
And
you.
yes, yeah, they will actually code that.
Yeah. Then they use it against you and say, oh, well, it's been
Yep.
too long that you haven't seen but it's not of any fault of your own. It's
Yeah,
done
they've
by design.
developed a relationship with their foster parents, and
Yep. That's how it
now
always
you're
is.
unhealthy in their life
Mm-hmm.
because they get distressed when they leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, I only know out of all the people that I've met doing CPS work, one person I have met got his TPR overturned on appeal. Only one.
Yeah.
Oh well,
And I'm thinking
the
this code might help.
people that get TPR need to get with Spanny Brat, because Spanny Brat gets TPRs overturned. She just got some more kids home. I think 4 or 5 last week.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, and like he was literally married to the kids' mom, and she got TPR too. But because he wasn't included in the case plan, the appellate court said, "Well, you can't remove his rights." But yet they can do it to the mom that he's married to.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Just crazy, just craziness. But I mean, like
Yep.
you saying, like in your one, like the video Darren showed in the beginning, like the money, like the flow of, like I started looking into it, and I got on my state's website, and I found a consulting company that works for my job and family services, that
Hmm.
literally works for, and I mean, they've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to this consulting company, and this
Yeah.
consulting company is literally they're what does it say? It says that they are a force, or a big one of the big four, what is it, the big four accounting firms, providing audit, consulting, tax advisory, risk management, and financial
Yeah.
advisory services. Like,
Yep.
and that's for the foster care program. That's what they're
Yeah.
implementing in the foster care program. These
Yep.
consulting companies. I'm like, are what? I was blown away. Like when I watched your video, the one Darren showed, I was like, wait a minute here. So I started looking, and I'm like, um, there's like over two, like one transaction over $200,000
Yeah.
Mhm.
put towards foster care program
Yeah.
that they
There
paid.
is there's also two big companies, I guess, that are responsible for most of this. I don't know if you guys remember the orphan trains
Yeah.
many,
Yeah,
many years ago. So that was all put on by this Casey family thing, which is
Mhm.
still running the foster care system today. Casey family. And when I scroll up in that video that you showed, I had to leave out some of the letters because that alone blocks the algorithm. They've got billions of dollars into TikTok and everything else that scrub their stuff, and you can find that online too. But yeah, Casey family and Chapin Hill are two of the biggest reasons we're doing this.
Mm. Jesus.
Derek, can you stick around for a little bit after we stop the show?
Yeah.
Good. Dana, you got a last question for the man here? Or any
Not a
last comments?
question, just words of encouragement. That I mean, you're clearly on the right path, and the information you're providing is excellent. You did say
Thank
that
you.
you thought it was hard. You had a difficult time understanding how people don't see this, and I can tell you why.
Mm.
If you watch TV, well, obviously I mean mainstream TV,
Mhm.
you will see why America is in so much trouble. Because half of the country will watch the TV and believe everything they see, and they have no knowledge of what's happening in the world around them outside that television. In their world, if a child is taken away from a family, it's because the family clearly has done something wrong. They
Yeah.
believe that they must be guilty. They believe that the system tries to help.
Mhm.
If you have no involvement with the system, you wouldn't know it differently. So, in terms of what Darren was saying, what do we do? This is what we do, is what we're doing right now. We get the
Yeah.
information out there, get as many people as we can to see this information, and once this awareness becomes so widespread that it's a little like what we're seeing with vaccines these days, because people would in days of old say you were insane if you would suggest that vaccines weren't safe and effective or that they might cause harm. Nowadays there's so many people seeing it with their own eyes that they can no longer deny it.
Yeah.
And the most important thing I can say is to everyone in America is to know your rights, and learn how to talk to people, agents, law enforcement, because the entire basis of this is completely fabricated. Government agents do not have lawful authority to kidnap your child. They're going to say they do. They're going to act like they do. They're going to quote all of their rules and their mandates and proclamations and orders, but none of that has validity. It has validity because they make it have validity. See? And the courts enforce it because the courts are corrupt. So my position in dealing with these people is always immediately, you don't have lawful authority. Use that phrase. You have no lawful authority. And it may or may not help you. The guy that's robbing you doesn't care that he doesn't have lawful authority to rob you. He's going to rob you anyway, right? But it can't hurt. And it's, in my world, that's something we all ought to be really, really focusing on and emphasizing, because if we can remove this premise, remove the thought process that allows the agents, the enforcers, the law enforcement, the court systems, all to function as if this is a valid premise, we take that away, and that completely invalidates the entire system.
Yeah.
And I'm
Dang.
not suggesting that's easy. It is not clearly
No.
easy. You have clearly shown us this system is entrenched. It's a fat trough of cash.
Love Dana. Tiff, what do you got for him? I'll go to Becca and then we'll come back to you. Becca, what do you got for the D-Man for last questions or whatever you got, comments, questions?
I mean, I don't really have a question. I mean, I just know that, I mean, what he's saying is, I mean, it's correct. I mean, my daughter came back totally different from, when she was with my sister. She wasn't even in foster care.
Wow.
And she came back completely traumatized. I mean, for 2 years, I couldn't leave the house without her. Separation anxiety.
Mhm.
And just like, and it does something to their mental health. And I mean, and I've told CPS workers myself, you guys don't even know what you do to these children. You just drop them off on our doorstep after you give them back and say, here you go, deal with this mess that we've created.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, now you're going to figure it out. So then they think, I believe, this is how I feel, that they think that then we'll reach out and want to engage in their services even further because now we need help.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, wait a minute here. I don't need anything from you.
Yeah.
You've done enough damage. I mean, they're all like, they're therapists. They're all biased. They're all who they want you to go to. It's not who you want to go to. And I mean, you have a choice. Yeah, I have a
Right.
choice where I go for counseling, where I send my kid for counseling. I have a choice. You don't get to choose that for me. And that's the thing, is that they haven't. Everybody just gives them permission. They just give their consent away.
Mm.
And
Right.
the kids in the foster care system need to know that. And another thing, like, that I would say for the kids in the foster care system is, don't think that your parents didn't love you,
Right.
because regardless, I guarantee you, yeah, some kids may have come from total crap, okay, and their parents may not have, okay, I get it, but these people that are getting their kids taken from them, who do love their children,
Mhm.
those kids should know that their parents didn't not want them, that they do love them, and I guarantee, are going to fight tooth and nail to get them back.
Yeah.
But I want them to still have some form of hope that, yes, I get that, nobody's coming to save you, but somebody's trying to come to save you. There is an effort of, parents who actually do love their kids, and they want to be with their kids. And some people just do, some people just don't. And it's not, I just don't want the kid, because I know what damage that does to a child, in and out constantly.
For sure.
Like you said, you were going, foster care, here, there, and everywhere else. Well, how can you ever get attached to somebody? How can
You can't. And the worst thing about it for me was thinking that somebody was coming to get me.
Mhm.
Oh.
That was what made it the worst, was actually thinking that my parents are coming, that I'm going to end up in a home, that one of these people love me, that maybe I've got a relative, because that's something they talk about in court, and it didn't happen. That made acting out even easier, and it started making me turn into a different person. And that's why I say, if somebody would have said, nobody's coming to save you, don't waste your shit on that,
Yeah.
that would have helped me.
Yeah. And
I
I get
can't
that
speak
too.
for kids who left their parents or still have visitation with their parents, but I know all the kids that I grew up with in group homes, we would have been better off being told, you know,
The
you're going to
truth,
need to
really.
figure it out, because when you age out,
Nobody
you're going
cares.
to jail. Yeah. You're going to jail because you're going to steal, you're going to lie, you manipulate, you know, you're not going to fit into society. You're not, you know, and you have nowhere to start. You can't get a job usually because you're living under a bridge, or like me, I lived in a paper bin, and you know, you're up all night, you can't show up on time, and then once you get there, you don't want to be looked at because you're dirty. And it's
Yeah,
had I known earlier, I would have not, you know, expected a hero, honestly.
yeah. I mean, I get that aspect too. I mean, because I see your point. Yeah. I mean, I they shouldn't expect a hero, but I mean, I just want them to know that, you know, I guarantee their parents do love them. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because
Yeah.
even though if they're not getting that from their foster family or whatever, you know, just to be able to feel like that somebody does care, you know, there are people
Yeah.
out here who do care, you know.
Yeah, and the foster care system should be teaching that and encouraging that. And you know, there should be something letting children know, you know, that feeling that you have, that your parents love you and that you felt, that is true. And still, you know, the situation, it's not happening, but they start telling you, well, don't you like having this, you know, this closet with these clothes that this voucher bought you? And you know, and start
Yeah.
developing a relationship with the foster parents, even though they've just not been encouraged to continue, you know, feelings with their parents. And I also remember um, when I had to tell myself, do I even feel love? You know, I had to explore that, just search, because it doesn't look like what society says it's supposed to, especially when you're, you know, in foster care as a kid. Like I did this one video about Disney and Dumbo, and how that whole thing, you know, is when your foster family says, "Hey, it's Disney night," and the whole family sits around, but then you're watching this elephant get ripped away from his mom, and then he has visitation and he has to, you know, get taken from it. It's traumatic, and that's how our whole society is designed.
Yep.
And it's
Monsters Inc., man. Monsters
Well,
Inc.
the only thing I have to say on the show, we'll talk after the show, is you're doing an awesome job. I think you're
Thank you.
great. I subscribe to your channel. I'm not very good on that other crap. Look, I'm old, okay? I have a hard enough time keeping up with Facebook. So just keep up the
Or
good
checking her
work.
email.
I am following you. Yeah, and checking my email. That's about all I'm really good at.
Thank you.
So yeah, all right. Well, Dee, thank you so much for coming on tonight, man. We've
Yeah,
been trying
thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we're gonna see a lot more of you out here. I know that for sure. Because we need to have more of you out here, because you put together a component with us that we don't have, and this is what we need, man, for sure. Because this is what unity is, right? This is bringing different avenues and different things together that will make this thing work. You know,
Yeah.
and that's what we got to do. So, all right, everybody, thank you guys very much. Tomorrow's Mystery Friday, so we'll be there when we be there. But thank you very much, Steve, for coming out tonight again. We really do appreciate it. And then hang tight. We'll get over the song and we'll be in the back.
I put the car for the horse.